About 3 years ago, I made 3 crochet spider webs. The smaller of the two are currently living in my cubicle at work, and the larger one is sitting here. And I have one major complaint about these crochet spider webs. Everything else about them I absolutely love. The main issue with these is they're not big enough. This is so small. Look at this space that it could be filling, right? And for what? For why? It needs to be
3 times bigger than this.
This is like a little pathetic nod to Halloween. It's not a grandiose display of my adoration for such a momentous holiday. I actually don't do much on Halloween, but this is not enough. It's not enough. In my dreams, it takes up the entire rectangle that I'm currently sitting in. But there's a big issue with the breakfast bar, and that is the lighting that I've installed. I like this light, I use it, but it does get in the way, so I cannot put the spider web in this frame without completely running into the light fixture. So that's a no-no. But I'm also wondering, how much of the space could I take up, you know? I'm also debating other areas of my apartment. My other thought is it could go here on the wall over my pictures. I'm going to aim to make it for the breakfast bar, but if I feel like it's not working out, then I think it'll go over here. Oh, and I'm totally gonna wing it. This represents the exact amount of thought I've put into this project and the amount of thought I will put into this project prior to working on it. That's what I love about these spider webs, is they're very improvisational. Minimal planning required. The most thought that I would recommend putting into it in advance is how many touch points you want. So if you ultimately only want it to have 3 points of tension, like on the one behind me, it's attached to the wall in 3 different sections. That's important to know. Versus the one I want to work on, I want it to have 4 points of tension, and I'm willing to have more. The more you have, the cooler the spider web you can do, in my opinion, and the easier it is to make. Only doing 3 points of tension can be a little bit tricky. I'm planning to use this crochet hook. I have no idea what size it is. I would guess a 4 or 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. And I'm going to use Capri Eco Cotton yarn. If you wanted to make something like this, which by the way, I highly recommend, any white yarn is fine. I did provide a sort of tutorial on how to make this, so I will link that below. It's a very informal tutorial. I don't want to speak too highly of the project before I actually do it, but having made smaller ones in the past before, I love these for Halloween decorations. I do not own any other Halloween decorations, I don't think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just have my spider webs and my little spiders. They collapse to take up a really small amount of space, so it's not difficult to store, and it's something that expands to have a large impact, but it's also not visually too much, because when you're adding decoration into an already decorated space, I feel like visually overwhelmed when I have too many decorations going on at once. So this is a more minimalistic approach to decoration that's not going to be like too much for me. So I'm going to get started. I also have no idea how long it's going to take. I'm hoping I can get it done in a week, but we'll see. Okay, it's been a couple hours and I have transferred this to a blocking board, which is such a helpful tool to have when engaging in this project. I mean, I think you could make the entire thing without having to have a blocking board. It's just so much easier. So when I'm working on this, I'm working on it and crocheting while it's attached to the board with pins. And I crochet the next section and sort of pin it in place, and that tells me how long I need this part to be. Otherwise, it can be a little bit tricky to judge when you have it all loose, but when it's all pulled and has the tension on it, then you can tell exactly what shape you're going for here. So this took me about 2 hours to do, I think. So this project is going to take me quite a long time. Because if you think about it in terms of how much space it takes up on a wall, it is not filling very much space right now. This needs to be much bigger. So I'm gonna grab more blocking boards. This is gonna get harder also to work on the bigger it gets, and I'm wondering, once it gets to a certain size, if taking it off of the blocking mats is gonna be necessary. We'll find out. But it's looking good so far. I hope I don't mess it up. So I'm making some progress and I'm having some thoughts, and here's my hand for size comparison. My current thought is that there aren't enough of these chains stemming from the center. I thought it was a good idea to minimize the number I have just so that I can keep the number of pinch points to a minimum so I don't end up with like 40 different points of tension, but I think visually it would look better if I had more. When I run out of this yarn, I think when I start the next one, I'm basically going to start from the center or close to the center with the new ball of yarn and chain into and attach these points. So it basically would look like another like line coming from the center. I hope that makes sense. And doing that maybe in a couple points. You get the vision, right? Also, I'm doing some shaping as I go along because I need it to fit in this area. I'm wondering if it could take up like half of this space. That would be nice. And when I go to add it into the corner, I need to make sure that I have a 90-degree angle in there. So my 90-degree angle is coming along pretty well here. So things are going good. I think it could look better, but I'm going to work on that and see if I can get more of those lines stemming from the center. Same day, same dress, same spider web, lots of S sounds, and I'm watching Mean Girls. I do have a question for the group though. Anyone that's seen Mean Girls, did you go to a high school that at all resembled the high school in Mean Girls as far as attitude and politics within the school? Because I went to a big school in a big city with thousands of students. We didn't really care about each other. It was like in college, like there's just so many of you. You're all kind of anonymous. So at a school that big, I'd be like, who the frick cares? What's going on? There were like popular kids, I guess, in the sense that a lot of people knew who they were and they were well accomplished and usually wealthy. It's so weird and different than my entire high school experience. But, you know, maybe that was just my school. Maybe that was just Minnesota. My arm is getting tired from holding up the phone. I need to work out. Oh my gosh. The main reason I have decided to record in this moment and Pippin has decided to get up from her 4-hour nap just to block the screen, my dude, is to say that I am going to do something weird on the spiderweb and I'm not sure how it's going to go. I have a lot of moments like this where I work on a project and I am about to do something that's weird. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I just kind of want to try it. And I usually forget to record or I consider it boring and no one would care. But I'm going to show you this time just because maybe it won't work. Maybe that's fine. So I talked to you about having that idea of getting more lines going into the center of the spider web. And I'm getting close to the end of my ball of yarn. So that'll happen soon-ish. But I kind of want to test the waters and I put a pin right here in the middle. And I'm going to try and go to this point and connect it here. So far, so good. All right, so I went in and now I'm just debating what to do from here without messing it up. Do I connect it here and go over or connect it here, cut it? Or I guess I could go here and then go diagonal if I didn't care about it looking weird. Okay, I figured it out. So as a reminder of where we started, we're going down, across, and over. And I think I need a pin. So now I'm going to go across and connect to here. And then it'll be like nothing ever happened. I think it's time for a proper tangent. I'm of the opinion that Halloween playlists have gotten a little bit stale. Like we're playing a lot of the same songs over and over again. And I think people are unwilling to take a risk and they want songs to be very transparently Halloween songs. I think we need to branch out a little bit. I will add the caveat that I have actively been told by real people in my life that I take way too many creative licenses with my spooky playlist and that I put a lot of songs on there that should not be on there. So I'm not at all an authority, but I will die on this hill. All of these songs count as spooky season playlist songs. Because like if you're throwing a Halloween party or you're having people over and it's spooky season or you're on a road trip, like you need a lot of songs to fill an entire evening. And most playlists, they're just like 20 songs of Halloween songs. You need more options, right? I have them loosely categorized by vibe. Let's go. First category, vintage songs. I didn't put a lot of creativity into naming the categories. So first off, Bad Moon Rising, starting off with a softball. This is on a few Halloween playlists, but I was told by my friend's boyfriend that it had no business being on a Halloween playlist. So I'm doing this to get back at him. Second is Bullet with Butterfly Wings. It was actually in a Halloween episode of Psych. And then lastly is I Want to Be Evil by Eartha Kitt. The next category, I had no idea what to name, but it's like melancholy, angry, it's very dramatic, a little darker in tone. So, Broken Bones, Castle, Dinner and Diatribes, it's a bit of a stretch. Then Fly by Blood Witch, and Hellfire, and Seven Devils. That is that category. I love this for just when I want to get my heart rate up. If I'm working out, like this would be my spooky season workout playlist. I personally, when I'm working out, the songs I'm listening to, I need to feel like I'm about to go into frickin' battle. Like I'm about to take down a serial killer. That needs to be the energy. It needs to be very dramatic, somewhat serious. The next category is indie folk. So like if you're on a road trip and you're driving and it's a beautiful sunny fall day and all the leaves are yellow, you're rolling down the window, it's a little chilly out, got your sweater on. These are the songs. Dead Man's Hand, Ghost by Neutral Milk Hotel, Walking with a Ghost, Something's Haunting You, which is Zooey Deschanel, by the way. If you've seen New Girl, like the main character in New Girl, she also sings. And lastly in this category is You're Dead, which is the theme song to What We Do in the Shadows, which is like a vampire comedy TV show. The next category is comedy songs, which is my favorite playlist. First, we have To the Bone. I have no idea where this song came from, what it's related to. It sounds like it's related to a video game. No idea. I still really enjoy it. Nightmare on My Street. I love this song so much. I'm not a huge fan of Will Smith as a person. He just seems like the kind of guy that was really, really nice and then Hollywood probably ruined him. I don't know him personally though, so I guess I can't say. But if you like the theme song to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, very similar vibe. And the last one in the comedy section is Olivia by Wolves of Glendale. If you listen to any songs that I have listed today, that would be the one I'd recommend the most is Olivia. Maybe it's just my sense of humor. I find it so funny. Okay, and while we're talking about Wolves of Glendale, I need to also recommend Ricky. It's not a Halloween song, but I've yet to meet a person that does not like that song. I should also add the caveat that these songs are not inherently child-friendly, so just, be mindful. And I have one more song that's not in any category because I couldn't figure out where to put it, but it's Demons by Haley Kiyoko. I really like her music videos, so I would recommend that. Anyways, those are the songs that I think should be on everyone's spooky season playlist. Some of them are a bit of a stretch, but I stand by it. Good morning. I always feel weird saying good morning because it's probably not morning for you. It might be, but it's still a weird thing to say. It's how I feel. Good morning. I have made some progress on the spider web, and I'm at a crossroads that unfortunately you can't help me with. Let me show you the spider web first, and then I'll show you the dilemma. But first, my work outfit for the day. She's cute, she's fun, she's mobile. I can totally sit at a desk all day. I took it off of the boards, not to work on, but just to like move it around and see how it looks in different spaces so far. And this is how we're looking. The spider webs definitely look really cool when they're all pulled tight at all the tension points. Definitely really fun, but I still like this more relaxed look that you get the second you take it off. I also still need to weave in some of my ends. But all in all, she's looking good so far. Love it. With me holding it like this, it's giving Halloween conquistador. But let me show you my dilemma. I'm not sure exactly where I want to put it. Oh, and it's so not done, by the way. I still have a lot to do on this. So there are 3 options I am currently debating. Option number 1 is I just stick it on a painting like this, then I make 3 of them and put them on each. This isn't a painting, it's a photo. Option 2 is I make this a lot bigger and it's one spider web that covers the whole thing, like most of the wall. Option number 3 is that I stick it up here. Do I have it be a rectangle that fills up half the space, or do I try and go for another sort of triangle? So those are my current options. A note about this is that the bigger it gets, the harder it is to tension it properly. So that's why I'm tempted to do one in each frame, just because that would be, I hate to say easier. I know I could execute it better. I'm not convinced that I can effectively execute a bigger version that's going to go in that alcove. But I suppose if my main concern is that I can't do it, then I should probably do it. Because then I can always unravel, just have it be a smaller version and stick it on the frame and then make 2 more. Oh, and for anyone that is wondering, because my husband was concerned, this doesn't tangle very easily on itself. Like, I'm just kind of messing with it and it's very easy to get it to untangle. I'm sure you could try getting it into a really messy state, but luckily it is fairly easy to store and it stores pretty small. I mean, look at this thing. I could stick this in a sandwich size Ziploc. The other option is I scrap the spiderweb idea entirely and instead turn it into a spiderweb dress that I never wear because I would have nowhere to wear it to. That's also an option. You know, if you just did half of this instead of the full size, that's a spiderweb shawl right there. All right, those are the thoughts I'm having. I'm going to continue working on this throughout the week. I guess I need to make a decision today about what I want to do with it. My gut tells me I should just try and do it for the alcove. Is that the right word, alcove? What is an alcove? Oh, okay, it's not really an alcove. I mean, it's not an alcove, but it's also not an obvious one. On our lease, it's called a breakfast bar, but we don't eat breakfast there. Because I view the breakfast bar as the whole thing, but what's the cutout called? It's not an arch, because it's not arched. It's just a hole in a wall. It's not a nook. It's not a cranny. What are you? No idea. But it is time for me to start getting ready for work. See you on the flip side? Is that something people say? Have you ever heard someone say that? I've heard it on TV. Was it like a thing in the 90s? See you on the flip side. Do you know what one I like? Stay frosty. Bye. Gotta hurry up, Pippin. We're losing light. Did I press record? I did press record because I'm a good little YouTuber. I feel like I should lift up my sweater. We don't hide the fact that we have a belly around here. They exist, especially when we sit down. Okay, I really want to talk about movies and TV shows. Are you down for that for a little bit? Here are a list of my favorite Halloween movies that I think everyone should watch. Number 1. I didn't number these. Haunted Mansion. Definitely the first one, the original with Eddie Murphy. Love. It's a scary movie for children. Whose idea was that? That we should have scary movies, but for kids? That always blows my mind. It's such a huge sector of cinema. Like The Corpse Bride and Monster House. Someone woke up one day and was like, what if we do horror movies, but for children? I'm not against it. I love it. I'm just wondering, whose idea was it? Speaking of, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Frickin' classic. And I feel like it's got to be a future Halloween costume for me, is being one of the Hex girls. My husband got this movie for me last year because I mentioned that I wanted to see it. So now we have it and I can watch it whenever I want. Coraline. I saw this for the first time last year. It is a really good movie, most certainly. I've only seen it once now, so I need to watch it again. I am so glad I did not watch it as a kid. If I watched it as a kid, I think it would have scared me in a similar way that Monster House really scared me. So I'm glad I waited to watch Coraline until I was an adult to fully appreciate it. Paranorman, I think, is wildly underrated. Why it's not on more people's lists, I don't know. Super adorable. Anna Kendrick's character is really hilarious throughout the entire movie. I think it's underrated. I'm looking at my list and realizing these are all very different vibes. So next is A Haunting in Venice. This is part of the Hercule Poirot world. Love classic detective movies. Definitely Halloween vibes. It was intentionally, I think, made to be a Halloween movie. It takes place on Halloween. Practical Magic. I did not see it until I was an adult, and I'm wondering how I made it so long in life without this movie existing for me. That was a mistake. I was making a mistake every day of my life up until then. I love getting to see witches perceived as the protagonists in a story and showing them in a slightly more modern context without turning it into a joke. That is a tough, there's a saying, needle to thread, line to walk. Insert your favorite saying here. Next is Crimson Peak. I saw this in theaters and I saw it once after, and I think I need to see it again because I was watching a YouTube video recently of this channel that I just found and I want to watch all of their freaking videos. If you have an interest in costuming, fashion, and movies, watch this channel. They do a fantastic job. There's so much research involved, and they did a really good video on the costuming of ghosts in horror movies. And they specifically dove into Crimson Peak quite a few times throughout the video. And now I want to rewatch it because they're right. The costuming in that movie is really fantastic. I think Guillermo del Toro just has a really interesting eye for that kind of thing. So I want to watch it again. House on Haunted Hill, the original version. I'll admit, I haven't seen this in 2 years. I want to rewatch it because I remember watching it and I remember really enjoying it and being surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It came out in the 50s and I had not experienced a lot of movies pre-1980s. So as I've started branching out and watching older movies more and more, I've just been surprised by how much I like a lot of them, and some of them do age quite well. Some really don't, but some, they still are good. They hold up. And next is Nightmare on Elm Street, which is the only of the classic late 70s, 80s Halloween horror movies that I actually enjoyed and could recommend. So I think Nightmare on Elm Street so far is my favorite. I'm still working my way through all the classics, but I remember thinking the main character was actually smart. I liked seeing a female protagonist in a horror movie making good decisions and taking the situation very seriously. Editing me from the future, you can tell by the hair looking different. I was really mad at myself when I started editing and I realized I forgot 2 movies that I definitely should have mentioned. One being Lisa Frankenstein. I appreciate having a movie where the main character doesn't grow. In fact, she arguably gets a little worse by the end of the movie, but she's so fun to watch. I think if you liked Edward Scissorhands, you'd probably find something in this movie that you appreciate as well. I personally really enjoyed the cinematography, the use of color, the costuming, so good. And then the other movie is Us by Jordan Peele. The 3 big movies in the Jordan Peele universe right now being Get Out, Us, and Nope. Nope is my favorite. Us is the scariest. It is the creepiest of all the 3 movies by a mile. And it was the first one I saw in theaters. It is phenomenally done. Cinematography is excellent. Everything in one of Jordan Peele's movies feels like a choice. Everything feels exceptionally intentional. Everything he does seems to be on purpose. Halloween movies I have seen but cannot recommend. There's only 3 on here. First one is Halloween, and it's specifically because of the nudity, and I know I'm a little prude about this, but if you're showing actual nudity for a character that is meant to be an underage person, in this case, women, there's no reason for it. It's gratuitous and it's gross. Why? Why do I need to see a teenager's tits? I don't, because they're freaking children. It ruins it for me. I liked it outside of that aspect. So if you've seen some of them and it gets better, then I'll watch the rest of them. Friday the 13th, another one that I did enjoy, but a huge part of it that really made me so sad to the point that I cannot watch it again is the snake scene. In the movie, they kill a snake. And I was watching it with a friend of mine, and I said, this seems like a pretty low budget movie, but it looks like they really killed a real snake. I wonder if they did. And I looked it up, and they did. They killed a real snake. And apparently, from what I read, the animal handler was not aware that they were planning to kill the snake, and it was their personal pet snake that they killed. And that makes me so sad I can't watch that movie anymore. And the third one is The Mist. Stephen King lovers, cover your ears for a second, okay? I have one big problem with Stephen King in his universe, and it's that he has these weird sexual situations in all of his stories that make no sense. And it feels to me like it's a middle-aged male fantasy. I can't imagine any other reason that it makes sense for the plot. I'll die on this hill. So my biggest complaint with The Mist, and I have read the book and I've watched the movie. I maybe have ranted about this before on this channel, but one more time, we gotta. Spoilers. You have a man at a grocery store with his son, his young child son, and a mist descends and they find out that there's monsters in the mist, so you can't leave because you're gonna be eaten by monsters. So they're kind of held up in this grocery store. In the book, I'm trying to remember if this happens in the movie too. In the book, this dude, by the way, married, wife at home, he has no idea what's happening to her. And within 24 hours of this situation happening, he is sleeping with some young girl that's at the freaking store, trapped there too. I'm telling you, if I was trapped in a grocery store, kid or not, and I knew my husband was in a different location and some sort of emergency was happening, the absolute last thing I would do is sleep with some random person at the grocery store that I do not know. I'd be really concerned about my husband and wondering how I would get back to him. How am I going to take care of him? And when you throw a kid in the mix, I'm worried about my child. Are they doing okay? This is really traumatizing. Figuring out survival stuff. I'm not getting randy for some people at this freaking store. Why? I can't think of any explanation other than Stephen King has some weird sexual fantasies that he likes to throw into his books. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. End of rant. Halloween or spooky season movies that I have not seen but want to. So you let me know if I shouldn't watch any of these or if there's some that I haven't mentioned that I really should watch. Number 1, Over the Garden Wall. I've seen a lot of references to this. It's very popular with artists that I follow on YouTube, so I feel like I just have to see this. Witches of Eastwick. Something about the screen grabs I've seen from that movie, I just think I'm gonna like it. And the other one is Nosferatu, like the more recent one. People have been talking about it. I'd like to know what they're talking about. And lastly, TV shows for spooky season. I love that we can have spooky season TV shows and it's not just movies. That's fun. Obviously, Wednesday. The one I watched most recently, it's new, it's Truth Seekers. So if you're familiar with the Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, At World's End, and Hot Fuzz, the people that made those movies also worked on Truth Seekers. So if you liked those, you'll like this one too. It has to do with ghosts, it's more comedy. It gets a little spooky, but not too scary. So if you're, a little spooky season wimp, then I think you'd be fine watching that. I say as someone that is a little bit of a spooky season wimp. I'm a huge wimp in the sense that it scares me, but I also watch that stuff anyways. Obviously, What We Do in the Shadows, vampire comedy following the mockumentary style. I need to see the movie though. I haven't seen the movie, so I gotta watch that. The original Addams Family TV show, I love. It's really good. It's oddly wholesome. I love the energy of it. I still need to watch the Addams Family movie, but the original TV show, still so good, and I would watch it again. Same with the original Twilight Zone. I need to remember what the episode is, but there's one episode that is my favorite. It's a suburban neighborhood, and they're kind of figuring out that something really sketchy is going on and almost turning on each other. It's interesting from the perspective of community politics, social interactions. How do we handle emergencies when we're in a group? How do we handle fear and paranoia? How do we project our fears onto others? So I would really recommend that episode. I'm going to watch it again today. And then Sabrina the Teenage Witch, both TV shows, the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which my older sister watched, so I definitely watched many, many episodes of those. Really enjoyed it. But also The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I need to rewatch it because I don't think I finished it the first time. But I loved the first season especially. The aesthetics, the costuming was really fascinating to me. Lots of really good knitwear in that TV show. And for lack of a better word, the vibe. The vibe was just there. That's it. I just wanted to talk. It's a Monday night. I'm not doing anything. I want to talk movies. How you doing, Pippin? I really never have a purpose for using the macro lens on my phone, but I think I just need to show people how cool it is. But this is what my cotton fiber looks like up close when it's crocheted. Isn't that so cool, being able to see those fibers? Bet I can zoom in too. Oh, look at that cat hair stuck in there. That's probably what all my fiber looks like when you look at it up close. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, sorry, that's it. The real reason I have called you here is because I am getting dangerously close to finishing this, and I didn't want to get this close without telling you. The fun thing about these spider webs is it is helpful to be aware of how many touch points you want, but it is something, especially when you're working on a bigger one, it's something you can decide later on. I had been trying to make it look like a certain shape and then just kind of threw that out the window halfway through, and it was getting pretty circular, and only in the past round have I been really trying to dial in on the shape that I want, because it's also been kind of hard to decide. One thing that I really appreciate about these crochet spider webs is they're so forgiving and you can just mess with it and it's fine. Like, I was getting to a point here, I'm like, oh man, if I am gonna get the shape I want, I need to do multiple rounds where the lines are very close together, and I think that looks really cool when you do it every once in a while, but when I have too many it looks weird. So I'm like, you know what I can do? I can just literally turn around and go the other way and get the shape I want without having to go over this section at all. And I love that I can look at this and be like, oh, you know what? This would look better if I had a line going through it like halfway. And that's something that I can add later on. I don't need to do that right now. I don't need to have done that 12 rounds earlier and need to unravel to fix it, I can just do it whenever I want. Keeping me company while I work on this is Pippin sitting in the container where the blocking boards go when they're not being used, looking cute AF, and watching a content creator that I would totally recommend, Lucy. She definitely focuses more on crochet, but has recently been diving into kind of social studies in the world of fiber arts and social commentary in that world, a little bit of like knitting crochet drama. It's definitely a sector of YouTube that I don't gravitate towards often. In fact, many of her videos have been recommended to me for ages on my homepage, and I haven't clicked because the comment section always stresses me out. But I think they do a really good job, are incredibly thoughtful, especially if you allow yourself to disagree with people. I think that's my issue with people that get their panties in a twist with videos like this. First off, they are incredibly difficult videos to make, and two, they are incredibly brave videos to make. I think after this I should watch Cinema Knit's iconic knitwear and films video. It's got to be good. How have I not watched hers? She released it literally a month ago and I haven't watched it yet. Shame on me. All right. Oh, censoring that. Time to work on a spider web. Okay, I gotta show you how I'm going about this because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go along. Doing one much bigger is different than doing a smaller one for sure. Safety first, my friends. So what I am doing is using the existing command hooks that I already had up from my previous spider web and masking tape and the combination of the two to kind of assess where we're at shape-wise. And I'm wondering if I want to leave this up here and work on it while it's attached so that I can make the shaping as ideal as possible for the space. Because the thing is, if you don't want a lot of tension on the spider web, it's very easy to make. If you're okay with it not being pulled taut, totally fine. I like a balance between the two personally. Like I don't want it pulled completely tight, but I also don't want it super drapey and loose. So I think I'm going to try and put masking tape where I eventually want command hooks to sit and crochet directly on the spider web while it's attached. We'll see how that goes. I'm also really enjoying the Cinema Knits Knits and Film video. She does a really fantastic job. I think I'm still wearing my headphones. It is the next day, and I am wearing the same sweatshirt and the same sweatpants because I did laundry this morning and I'm sick, so I can do whatever I want. The spider web is alive and well back there. I am progressing on it, and I found it really helpful to use crochet hooks as weights to weigh it down in certain sections to see if I want a tension point there or if I need to try and reduce the number of tension points. Also, pro tip that I did with my last spider web was I hung a spider from it so that I could have a tension point. So I know I mentioned before it was in the corner, so it just had 3, but it had 4, I guess, if you include the spider hanging from it, which helps pull it a little bit more tight. So if you're putting something in a corner, weighing it down with like a fake spider, excellent option, makes things easier. I'm kind of almost done with this, and I was thinking and working towards filling up the space vertically that it's in, but I don't like the way it looks now. I prefer how it looked before I added the last few rounds, so I'm debating unraveling and hanging fake spiders from it. I didn't want to do that because I'm feeling very lazy, and I don't like making crochet amigurumi or 3D anything. I can't 3D knitting and crochet, not my thing. And I don't like sewing things that are really small. Anyways, I was dragging my feet, even though I think it genuinely would look better. So I have 1 crochet spider right now, and I think I should suck it up and just make 2 more and then use those as tension points for the spider web and basically unravel the last few rounds. And then the spider web's done. I still need to weave in my ends. Ugh, I'm the worst at that. So I guess I'm making some spiders. I kind of want to buy them, I'm not gonna lie. Like a cool ceramic spider to hang from it, but I couldn't find anything online. I was like, oh, if it's ceramic, it would look really cool, or even like a brass spider. Yeah, I couldn't find any in sizes that I liked. But I guess I'm gonna try and make some spiders. I'm really happy with this. This has got to be the fourth or fifth one of these crochet spider webs that I've made, and it is definitely my favorite. It's just such a good project. Not even just a project to do. I mean, it's fun from a process perspective because it's a little different than a lot of the other projects that I'm currently working on, which is usually wearable items. So getting to deviate from that is like a nice respite for my brain. But on top of that, it's a nice project to have in the home. I just love it as decorations. They're so easy to store. They take up a lot of room when they're set up, and they're pretty easy to set up. This one, it may not be the prettiest thing in the world, but I used command hooks and masking tape to hang it up. A key element to creating this spider web was making spiders. So I was trying to figure out what the best way of approaching adding tension points to a spider web without actually attaching it to any surface would be. And I figured I'd just go with what I did in the past, which was adding a spider to it. But I really didn't want to make a crochet spider. I don't like doing 3-dimensional crochet. It's not my favorite thing. I think it's really cute, but I've done it before. I don't want to do it again. So I broke out my polymer clay and just started messing around, and I settled on making something that I think turned out pretty cute. I did not realize that some of the clay I had bought was glow in the dark until I started doing UV curing. So I may need to purchase more glow-in-the-dark clay to play with in the future, but they worked out perfectly as weights. I know not everyone has those materials on hand. I was exceptionally lucky that when I was brainstorming, I happened to have UV resin and polymer clay that I was going to use for a different project, and then decided I didn't want to do that project, so I just had the supplies. I love when that happens. Oh my gosh, when you don't have to go out and buy anything. Yes. At this point, I think I'm fairly set with Halloween decorations because, I mean, I have the cats, and I can look a little scary when I'm hungry sometimes, so we all are living decorations for the home. And I like that I can decorate for Halloween and enjoy that spooky season without feeling like it's too much, and it feels like it has a lot more heart to me than like a cheap plastic thing, you know? I have a bunch of Halloween movies I need to binge watch.